Hey, what is up you guys, GLISKEY here, and welcome to my Sandstorm guide. This guide will give you kind of a template on what Pokemon are good for what, and what kind of slots, or what kind of Pokemon and how many of them you want on your team. So here are the categories that I've set up. There's going to be a timestamp in the description if you're looking for a specific, say you're looking for a physical sweeper, you just click the timestamp and it'll go straight to physical sweepers for you. So the categories are Sandstorm Starters, which is they start the Sandstorm when they're sent out. Optional leads, these completely optional Pokemon can go before your Sandstorm starter, and they can throw out different status stuff, and you know, they're leads, suicide leads pretty much. Next we have Megas that will do well in Sandstorm. Physical sweepers, they're pretty much the physical attackers. Special sweepers, they're special attackers, and stolers, they're the defensive tanky Pokemon. So let's get right into this. Pretty much the Pokemon you want with Sandstorm Starters, there's 3 you can choose from. I suggest choosing 2 and giving one of them the Smooth Rock to send out first, unless you're using an optional lead. With the Smooth Rock, it changes the Sandstorm from 5 turns to 8 turns, which is a huge advantage. I personally use Hippowdon and Tyranitar. That's why I've put Assault Vest on Tyranitar, because you can only have one Smooth Rock, but you can switch around these items and use whichever build you want, because it's your team. I'm just helping you out with a kind of a guide. So what I tend to do is send out Hippowdon first, start the Smooth Rock Sandstorm, so it's 8 turns, and then I throw out Stealth Rocks. So already we've got a hazard on the enemy side of the field. You could also do that with Gigalith, Stealth Rock there. Pretty much Tyranitar can set Sandstorm, like I've already said, but it's kind of an offensive Pokemon. It's used to get out there and get the Sandstorm up and then deal some damage with it up. So yeah, and with Gigalith, it's kind of a good secondary setter, or a primary one if you want to send that out first. You can send that out and then switch it out with another Pokemon, and then say your Tyranitar or your Hippowdon have already fainted and you need another Sandstorm set, you throw it in, and if it's going to lose and you know it's going to lose, just use Explosion. Huge damage dealing attack. You can take out you can take out the enemy Pokemon quite well with that, and you will also get the Sandstorm up again, especially if it has Smooth Rock. You've got a long-lasting Sandstorm. So next we have optional leads. These are Pokemon, pretty much suicide lead Pokemon. They're meant to go out and take a few hits, or take 1 or 2 hits before going out and setting up stuff. First we have Nihiligo, I think it's pronounced, I'm not actually sure, but it's a Focus Sash. It's actually really good because it's rock type, so it's viable in a Sandstorm team, but it has Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes, which is very good, especially with such high speed stat, 335. It's very good to be able to get in there and get either like a Stealth Rocks and a Toxic Spikes, or maybe 2 Toxic Spikes, and if you last another one, get a third, or maybe 2 Toxic Spikes and Stealth Rocks, who knows. So that's meant to be sent out, take a hit, and I'll throw out a hazard, take a hit and stay alive because of Focus Sash, and then throw out another hazard, and then, you know, if you can, maybe get a third one out. Next we have Ferrothorn, same kind of deal, except with this one I've just put leftovers. Pretty much its ability, making contact with Pokemon loses 1/8 of its HP. Very good for putting up against the other trainer's going to use a physical lead. So when you could probably throw a Focus Sash on there as well. You throw out Spikes, and then it's got a low speed, so it's a bit different from Nihiligo. What you do is you throw it out, they will attack you, lose 1/8 of their health. You throw Spikes, and then if you have Focus Sash, maybe that's all you get, but you know, Focus Sash is much better for faster Pokemon because they can get in 2 hits. Slower Pokemon only really get 1. So next we have Klefki, Prankster. This Pokemon status moves have priority raised 1. Dark types are immune, so it's very good for Spikes. It has a +1 priority for Spikes, even though it's not the fastest Pokemon out of these 3. It's in the middle, but it's very good because of its Prankster ability. Next up we have the Megas. These are just the Megas that aren't affected by Sandstorm. We have Aerodactyl, that's rock type, Scizor, steel, Metagross steel, Garchomp ground, and Lucario steel type. So if we go to Aerodactyl, it's pretty much, there's not really much to explain. These are Pokemon that can Mega Evolve and are good in Sandstorm. Pretty much if you like any of these builds you can use them, you can make your own, you can find some online. These are just the ones that are very good because of their typing, they're not affected by Sandstorm. But I suggest Garchomp just because of the rough skin, which is Pokemon make contact will lose 1/8 of their HP, so that's very good for physical, fighting another physical attacker. And yeah, pretty much some of these can also, I believe, some of them can learn Stealth Rocks. I'm not 100% sure. But next we have Physical Sweepers. These are Pokemon that very good damage dealers in a Sandstorm team. First up we have Excadrill, which was very good in OU of Gen 6, and I'm expecting it to be in Gen 7 as well. I haven't used it. I honestly don't even know if it's in Sun and Moon yet until Pokemon Bank is out. But it is Sand Rush, which Sandstorm is active, Pokemon speed is doubled, and it has immunity to Sandstorm, which it already had from being ground steel. But 302 becomes 604 speed. That is insane. That thing doesn't even need a like a Swords Dance, but it is, well no, Dragon Dance was I was thinking of, but Swords Dance, very good idea to do that, considering you have ×2 speed and ×2 attack, which would make its attack 738. I don't know, that's quick math off the top of my head. 738 with 604 speed. That is insane. You don't even need anything. You could just set up Sandstorm and send that out, to be honest. Next up we have Kartana, something that I've been experimenting with, even though I don't typically enjoy using legendaries or Ultra Beasts. They're naturally powerful Pokemon. But what it can do is it's just got very high attack, very good speed, and since its attack is very high, with its ability Beast Boost, when it gets a kill, its high stat will be raised, so its attack will go up even more. It also has the can use Swords Dance, very good, doubles its attack. And then Sacred Sword, ignores the target's stat changes, so if someone's raising their defense and stuff, send this out. It will take care of them easy, unless it's like a ghost or whatever. But fighting types are very good. Oh, this fighting type attack, I mean, is very good because it ignores the enemy's stat changes. Next we have the Sand Slashers. Both of these are viable just because one's steel and one is ground type. They both pretty much have the same stats, except one's special defense and one's normal defense. Pretty much, it's personal preference if you want to use a Sand Slash. I suggest using Alola Sand Slash just because they're Ice Steel. Ice is just giving you a bit more type coverage, just because it's always better. Same with Kartana. Not many grass Pokemon are able to be used in Sandstorm. Next we have Dugtrio, which are Tangling Hair. Pokemon making contact with this Pokemon have their speed lowered by 1 stage, which is very good considering all of these builds, all of these sweepers are very fast. If you can make the enemy slower, even better. They have less of a chance of outspeeding you, and with the Focus Sash on Dugtrio you can actually get in at least 2 hits with this good amount of speed. Next up we have Zygarde, one of my favourites to use, and I'm planning to use later on in the Sandstorm team. This is the exact build that I'm using, Dragonium Z. I just enjoy the Dragon type move and it's very good. Speed is very high, 361, whoops, accidentally right clicked, and its attack very good, just under 300. With extreme speed you're able to outspeed a lot of Pokemon straight away. Outrage, very good. Dragon Turn, Dragon Dance boosts your speed and attack, very good if you want to get even faster and stronger. And Thousand Arrows is a ground type attack that hits flying types, so that is very good. You always want to be able to hit flying types because most of these Pokemon that I've got here actually rely on Earthquake. Next up we have some more physical sweepers. We have Cloyster, which holds Never Melt Ice, auto raises ice type attacks by 1.2 times power. But the special thing about this Pokemon is water ice. It can't like withstand Sandstorm without its ability Overcoat. This Pokemon is immune to powder moves and damage from Sandstorm or Hail, so this makes it very good. It does lose its ability Skill Link, which makes its Icicle Spear and Rock Blast not guarantee 5 turns, but I reckon it's still good for type coverage, especially with Water Ice. You can actually get a few good Pokemon in there. And stats very typical of a sweeper, speed and attack. So next up we have Kommo-o. Overcoat, same as Cloyster. This Pokemon is immune to powder moves and damage from Sandstorm. Dragon Fighting, very good combo, especially if you can get it fast enough. Right now it's 269 speed. If you can get in that, I believe you can use Dragon Dance. Yet right there, uses attack and speed by 1. That is very good if you want to replace Swords Dance with Dragon Dance. Sorry, like that. It can outspeed a lot of Fairy type Pokemon with its fighting type attacks, which I believe is good against Fairy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no, Ice type is what I'm thinking of. Ice fighting is good against Ice, so if you can get that Sky Uppercut with a Dragon Dance already set on an Ice type Pokemon, you shouldn't even have to switch out. Next up we have Golem. It is Rock Electric now, which is good for type coverage. Galvanize and all type attacks become electric type. So Double Edge. Double Edge is very good. 120 power, electric type. That is very good. That if the enemy sends out a water type. The only problem is kind of lacking in speed. That's the only problem here, I reckon. Next up we have Lycanroc. I actually really like this Pokemon. It's very suited for Sandstorm. I've given my one Stone Plate. Rock type attacks have 1.2 times power. Judgment is rock type, which doesn't really matter because we're not using a Arceus, that's what I'm thinking of. We have Sand Rush. Speed is doubled and immunity Sandstorm. Already had immunity because of rock type. If we can get off a Sword Dance to this very good attack 329 and its speed 323, doubled in a Sandstorm, that's 646, very good. So you would have high speed, especially with a Cell Rock. Usually goes first, so it's a priority move, but it's only 40 power, so it's good for a switch in, a revenge kill really. If like the enemy Pokemon is already whittled down to a low amount of health, you can just send out Lycanroc and use the Cell Rock. Stone Age, very good rock type attack for stab attacks, and Fire Fang just to keep. I don't know why I have Fire Fang there. I never actually end up using Fire Fang, so you could probably switch that around with another attack if you wanted to. And that's it for the physical sweepers. Next we have the special sweepers, which I only have 5 of them here. Landorus, very obvious, very used in VGC and OU Smogon. I see it around everywhere and I hate dealing with it, which is why it's very good, because it's ground flying, so it has immunity to Sandstorm, Life Orb, extra attack, just take a little bit of damage. Pokemon attacks with secondary effects have 1.3 times power. So knockoff. If it's holding an item, I believe that's a secondary effect. So that does even more damage than what it would if the foe was holding an item. Rock Slide, 30% chance to hit foes. That is a secondary like power thing. I forgot what I was thinking of. Sheer Force. Secondary effect, yeah. Rock Slide has one. Hidden Power Ice, that's just good for type coverage. And stats is, normal special attack speed. Next we have Magnezone with Air Balloon. It's steel type, so it resists Sandstorm and has magnet pulls, so Jason steel type Pokemon, so if someone has like say a Steelix, they send that out. That's not going to be switching out anytime soon, which is very good for Hidden Power Fire and Thunderbolt. This one's kind of different. It's got a bit more health instead of speed, so we can outlast a lot more Pokemon. And next is Heliolisk. I've actually used this one quite a bit on my team. It's not specifically a special attacker, it focuses in health and speed, but it can be used as a special attacker and I have used it very well. Volt Switch was actually very good, just as I was saying before, you can switch out with Volt Switch to Lycanroc and get out that Cell Rock if you want to lower a Pokemon. Hyper Voice, just a normal type, hits a lot of foes. Grass Knot, it's a very small Pokemon I believe, so actually no, that doesn't even matter. That's good for fighting heavier Pokemon, so, and good for type coverage if your team is weak against grass types, considering ground and rock are weak against grass. Thunderbolt for stab attack, very good. And next we have Nidoking or Nidoqueen, either one is fine I reckon, but pretty much ground, it's immune to Sandstorm, Sheer Force, secondary effects, same as before, Sludge Wave, chance to poison, chance to freeze, chance to burn, very good. All of these pretty much have extra damage because of Sheer Force. Its build is pretty typical, speed, special attack. And next we have Empoleon. This is actually very good if the opponent has a setup, although it can ruin your own setup. Defog, -1 evasion, clears user's target side of hazards. So user and target side of hazards. So that will get rid of spikes, toxic spikes, and what am I thinking of? Stealth rocks. Hydro Pump for stab, very good. When its ability Torrent gives it extra attack when it's on less than a third health. So Hydro Pump is very good. Ice Beam, very good for type coverage, and Grass Knot, more type coverage. And so next we have the Stallers, personally my favourite section of the group because GLISKEY is so much fun. GLISKEY, I need to get in the habit of saying GLISKEY. I've been saying GLISKEY for too long. So pretty much Toxic Orb at the end of every turn tends to barely poison the holder. Very good with Poison Heal, considering it gains an extra 1/8 of its max HP at the end of every turn. That paired with Roost, you can actually heal quite well. Sword Stance, get your attack up with Earthquake and Knockoff. You can probably switch Knockoff with, what am I thinking of, Facade. But that will, Facade or Sky Uppercut to take out ice types if you want the type coverage. But Facade can be used there, but that also makes GLISKEY very weak against specifically Gengars or Ghost types, just because actually not anymore. Gengar has lost Levitate, so it's affected by Earthquake, so you can actually probably run Facade, which is very good because it gives doubles power if burn, poison, and paralyzed, considering Toxic Orb set. Next we have Quagsire, which is very good just because unaware this Pokemon ignores this Pokemon stat changes when taking or doing damage. So if something has, say they got a Garchomp ×4 attack and you're like, oh no, send out Quagsire, its ×4 attack isn't doing anything. Especially with high defense, it's very good to set up against physical sweepers. You can ruin that very well, especially with Recover and Toxic. You can badly poison them. Earthquake is just a very good stab attack. Next we have Gastrodon. I've used this one quite a lot in my battles. I've had pretty much Curse is very good, raises +1 attack, +1 defense, minus speed, which doesn't really matter, it's got low speed anyway, we're not going for speed. And pretty much you use Curse and Recover, keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you can have a very defensive, very good physical attacker, which is very good with Scald for stab and Earthquake for stab. Scald also has a chance of burning the target. Next we have Palo-Sand, which I actually call mine Pile-O-Sand, just because it sounds the same and it's funny. Weakness policy, if the holder is hit super effectively, raises attack, special attack by 2 stages, which is very good, especially since water types are very good against Sandstorm teams most of the time because of rock and ground. So if this gets hit by, say, a Scald, it may get burnt, but it will also get extra special attack or even dark types because Ghost. And then Water Compaction, if it's hit by water, this Pokemon's defense is raised by 2 stages, which is very good. Now Shadow Ball, Giga Drain, just extra heals. Shadow Ball for stab attack. Shore Up, it is very good because it heals half your health outside of Sandstorm, and then it heals, I believe it's either 2/3 or 3/4 of your health while Sandstorm is up, so it's very good. Especially raised with Stockpile, you can raise your defense and special defense and have very high defense. Next we have Skarmory, paired with a Rocky Helmet, it could withstand quite a lot, especially with Sturdy. It will survive a hit when it has full HP and it's going to be KO'd. With Rocky Helmet, it takes the hit and deals damage. You could also roost out of that, maybe. You can get off a Brave Bird, it's very good. It could be a... what am I thinking of? It could be a Stoller, or it could be a physical attacker, considering it has Brave Bird, which is very good. So you can, and with its low speed, you could use Brave Bird. You would survive the enemy's first hit with Sturdy, get some damage down with Rocky Helmet, and then use Brave Bird. You can take it down in one turn, although it would be technically a suicide. Next we have Bronzong, Gyro Ball. It is very slow, so Gyro Ball is very good. More power the slower the user than the target, so it's very good. Earthquake for just taking out with a high attack. Stealth Rocks in case you want another setter, and Hidden Power Ice is very good just because ice, you just attack coverage, and then we have the last two Stollers, which is Aegis Slash, which has King's Shield, Gyro Ball, Toxic, and Pursuit. Stance Change is very good. This Pokemon is very good. If you use King's Shield, it raises its protects from attacks and lowers attack by 2 on the enemy. It's very good. You can switch back and forth between the two forms of physical attack and physical defense. Actually, I believe it's special defense and then switch between. It's pretty much offensive and defensive. You can switch between the two. It's very good, especially since King's Shield is like a protect. And then next we have Shuckle, which has insane amounts of defense and special defense. So if you just do your stats like that, you're going to be last in just about every attack. Sticky Web, you can send that out. Little speed of grounded foes by 1 on switch in. Stealth Rock if you want another setter. Encore in case maybe the enemy uses, I don't know, Swords Dance, raise their attack. You use Encore, they're stuck with using that for 3 more turns. And Infestation traps target and deals, that's pretty much dot damage over time. So those are the Pokemon that I suggest. You can switch around the builds any way you want. The way you want to form your team is, how I said before, you want 2 of these, 2 setters. So you can send one out with Smooth Rock, and then you can like maybe stick with that at the beginning, or you can switch out and then you have another 8-turn Sandstorm behind you and also a 5-turn. It's just strengthening the time that you can have a Sandstorm up. Optional lead, these can go before your Sandstorm setter if you want to set up. I suggest Nihilego or Klefki, to be honest, because Klefki's Prankstar gives Spikes priority. You can probably get that out a few times, especially with leftovers. But Nihilego has Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes, very good combo, damage and Toxic. And then Megas, you want, obviously you want 1 Mega. So already we've got 2 Sandstorm, 1 optional lead and 1 Mega. That leaves space for a Sweeper and a Stoller. So that's what I suggest, is using an optional lead if you want. But if you want an extra Stoller or Sweeper, you can probably get rid of your optional lead and just stick with Sandstorm. So that would be 2 Sandstorm starters, 1 Mega, maybe 2 physical sweepers and a Stoller, or maybe you want to go physical sweeper, special sweeper and a Stoller. That would be a very good combo, but again, it's up to you. These are just what I suggest. Pick pretty much 1 from each section if you want. So yeah, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, comment in the comment section below what tips you might have for Sandstorm teams. I've been working on this build, or all of these Pokemon, for a few days now, so yeah, like this video if you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm actually very close to getting 100 subs, which is very good for me. I reckon it's a good milestone. And also, if this build helped you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear stories of maybe how your team has been upgraded, or maybe how you used my tips and they didn't work. I'd love to hear that because that gives a chance to improve. Also, post your teams below if you do use these Pokemon. These Pokemon, of course, aren't all available in Sun and Moon yet. This is for after Pokebank is released for Sun and Moon. So yeah, thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.